Thanks for joining us. This is Coffee with the Councilman. This is Greg Piklapp. My name is Logan Kaler, Boone News-Republican. How's it going, Greg?
Going well. Hoping spring's around the corner.
Yeah, no kidding. I did see in the forecast that we're supposed to hit 40 next week.
That's a heat wave.
Right.
That's a heat wave right now in Iowa.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here crossing my fingers at this point. I'm so tired of it. I'm ready to be over with the winter.
I was done with winter at Christmas.
Okay. Well, what gets me is that I was under the impression that Christmas was supposed to be white. And now, at this point, I think the past 2 or 3 years, we haven't had an actual white Christmas. It's always come later in January or earlier in February.
Right in the time of year when no one wants it and everyone has the holiday post-blahs. Yes, yeah, I would agree with that. So, unfortunately, the snow doesn't really seem to fit our holiday schedule, does it?
No, never really does. All right, let's dig right into this. So today we're going to start with the Economic Development Committee, where a company called KJ Property Developers, or is it just KJ Property?
KJ Properties.
KJ Properties. They proposed a build similar to one that they did over in Huxley. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
The proposal from KJ that we discussed on the council meeting, our ED meeting before, and then council after, it's for 8 units on 4 properties. So it will be for 8 townhomes, and all of them would be for a max price range target of $175,000, so $175,000. Wow. These are nice townhomes. It's the similar template to what they used in Huxley. All of them sold within 4 months. So the developer, especially, he was there with us on Monday night, was very, very positive about it and that type of market right now that he's seeing around our area here in central Iowa. The city is going to be contributing $40,000 in LMI, which is low moderate income funding. We can only use it for housing for that price range. So this is going to be part of our housing program that we're using citywide. Pretty much, instead of one big development of all similar homes, our concept in the city has been to focus on different price ranges. So we have LMI 175 and lower, and then we've been focusing on that mid-range 200, and then even between 250 and 300. So that way we have continuous inventory coming in the market.
So the total was $175,000. So that's each townhome is 100. Okay, and then we are, as the city council, is offering $40,000 in total from the LMI to them as an incentive or kind of like a
incentive. As everyone knows, with the current international climate and just the strong building economy we have in Iowa right now, prices are going up in construction. So to help the developer keep the price range down on the properties, the city is going to be contributing $5,000 to the developer to help defray the costs.
Oh wow!
So the $5,000 per unit is going to hopefully keep the developer in that 170 price range. But if he should go above it, then the funds no longer are eligible. So he doesn't get it unless he comes under 175.
Under 175. Okay, that's fair. So then, so $40,000 from the LMI funds. What benefit do we see coming from them earning our LMI funds?
Well, our LMI funds is a pool of money that we have whenever we do a TIF project. So whenever we do a project like that in the city, part of the funding from that goes back into LMI for development projects. So a good example of that would be the Tri-West development over by Cedar Point Golf Course. Those homes are in the $300,000 range. But because the developer agreement we have with that developer on their infrastructure, roads, sewers, things like that, the money we get back from his rebates when they get paid back into the city coffers is going to go back into LMI funds. So then a portion of those funds go into LMI, so now we put those into homes of 175 and lower price range for people that might need it in that economy class.
Yeah. What kind of time frame are we looking at for these projects to be finished, starting?
KJ said that he was going to be focusing on 2019 start, 4 units. So half the building project done in 2019, the other half in 2020. He's hoping that by the time is getting done with the first phase, they'll be selling so he can immediately go into the next phase. But the max time he's looking at is a 2020 finish for all 8 units, which would be phenomenal.
Yeah,
so,
no kidding. And this is over on South Linn, is that what South Linn Street.
South Linn Street. And if anyone's over there and they see building and dirt flying over there, that's actually another developer that's building additional townhomes on the other side. So that's a whole other development.
Cool. What does this mean for our economy?
It's good for our economy. It's going to be additional, I want to say, it's going to be quality housing that we see a really need market for. Ames right now I know is going through a crunch in inventory in that price range. We're getting a lot of inquiries, talking to local realtors. I do not believe it's going to be on the market that long. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be all new people. It's going to be people coming to Boone, living in Boone. Hopefully their kids are going to be going to Boone schools. It's going to be a shot in our arm, and it's going to help build our tax base. And the best part of it is even if they're families that already live in Boone and say they're upgrading, their previous rental or the previous home is going to be on the market, which means we open up additional space for more people.
That's great. I'm excited to see it. I've seen the ones over in Huxley, and they're pretty nice. Pretty nice townhomes. Nice newer development.
The pictures that he presented are really good, and the best thing I thought he could say too was that he's already had inquiries on maybe a couple upgrades. So again, if they go above that 175, our incentives aren't enforced. But if he's already receiving inquiries about upgrading and going even higher, that shows us right now there's a market for Boone for that type of housing, which I think only helps the community.
Yeah, speaking of housing, I think it would be a great plug to mention the interview that you had with, was it Realtors.com?
Realtor.com, yep. That was an inquiry that got sent to the city and got passed on to me since I'm ED chair, and it was at the time that we had no idea that we were even in the running. It just said that your community has been asked for questions and answers, and I submitted some answers back to them, and then the next thing I get is a friend of mine that's economic development director that lives up in Webster City, and she said, "Greg, you're," and then I sent it on to Bill and the rest of the council and mayor. But it's great, and it just shows you it's a constant battle locally to remind people how good our community is. Mm-hmm. And to see that nationally ranking, I mean, they did research in over 500 plus communities of our size, and all of our similar size and locations. So our communities are all in the same categories and everything else, and we came out number 1, which is a huge shot in the arm, I think, for our publicity.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Well, all right, Greg. Thanks for stopping in. This has been Coffee with the Councilman, Greg Piklapp, Logan Kaler. Thank you.